What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us here on ESPN ESPORTS on Twitch. Happy to be joined by MajorManiak, who's a player for the Atlanta FaZe. Of course, the FaZe making it all the way to the finals, one of the premier, and many would say the premier team in the Call of Duty League this season. They are also in action this weekend in the Paris Legion home series. But of course, with Father's Day approaching us, MajorManiak actually has a very unique story as it pertains to dads everywhere. Michael, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN
Course.
Esports. So we'll get to the interesting story and the connection you share with your dad, but let's talk about the home series coming up. The first thing is that this is back to back, and the schedule is a little condensed towards the end of the season. Do you prefer that as a player?
Yeah, I think in terms of traveling, it sucks we can't travel now with everything going on, but the tournaments back to back, it's a way to it keeps me busy. And competing is the best aspect out of all of this. So playing in these tournament formats, whether it's online, LAN, it's just super exciting either way. So
I know that they adjusted the times so that European fans can have it
yeah.
more in their prime times. As a gamer, you guys are usually routines and whatever times you guys have in terms of scrimming, etc. Have you had to adjust this week in order to accommodate that, or will it be fine for you and your
Nah,
team?
not necessarily. For me, during these tournament weekends and the rest of my team, I'm usually up like 9:30, 10 anyway. So playing these matches early on and scrimming early on in the morning or after early afternoon doesn't really bother me. Our match is the last match tonight, so it's later. So I don't think it really affects me or the rest of the team. So
You wake up at 9:30 and 10 in the morning every day?
not every day,
Okay.
but during these tournament weekends, I do. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, man, that sounds very ungamer like of you to wake up
Yeah.
at 9:30 in the
No, yeah.
morning.
Normally I'll wake up like on a normal day. I'll probably wake up at like 11:30, 12.
Yeah,
But during the tournament weekends, I'm usually up early.
that sounds more like it.
Yeah.
What was the give me the postmortem? What were the conversations like with you and the team and the coaches after the Minnesota home series?
Well, after we lost, we immediately were watching VOD together. We watched back. The gun runner was kind of iffy. There was a few connection issues, but we actually watched back the Hackney, and even before that match, we were watching our match versus Dallas
Hmm.
and our match versus LA Gorillas. Just a few plays that we were making on the gun runner going into that series. So fundamentally, our gun runner wasn't really that bad against Florida, even though we lost. We just weren't picking up any gunfights. So yeah, I mean, the vibe of our team after we lost, obviously we were disappointed, but it could be worse. It could have been us losing at champs, but every every loss, there's a lot of takeaways from it. So we sat there, we reconvened, and this week, obviously, it's so hard to improve within 4 to 5 days as a team. But I think what we really did work on was just go back to the fundamentals and the basics that we were doing at the beginning of the year, which is like playing for those squad spawns and really like trusting our teammates on rotation, which we just haven't been doing. We've been just trying to gun our way through hills. So yeah, I mean, I think we've improved in that aspect. So
Did I hear that the spawns actually got updated before this past weekend?
no, the spawns. See
Was there a small update or anything
nah,
like that? No, okay.
the conversation is on 12 tick servers. The spawns are different from 60 tick servers,
Okay.
but that's
Okay.
only on if you're scrimming on the game battle servers. So in these tournament CDL servers that we play on, the spawns are just like they are on the 12 tick
Okay.
or the 12 tick server. So it's very weird.
Okay. Well, that
Yeah.
thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that because
Nah.
I
Yeah.
was wondering if there was a patch or something that we were
Nah.
not aware.
They're
Okay.
nah. Yeah. The spawns are the same. It's
Okay.
just when we practice, the spawns are slightly different. But everybody wants to play on the 60 hertz servers where the spawns are just slightly different because of the connections. It's a lot better. The M4 is just a lot better. So, I mean, it makes sense, but you just gotta take that loss in the aspect the spawns are going to be just a little bit different.
So this weekend, the Paris Legion home series, you have two teams that you did play last weekend. You have Florida and
Mhm.
Dallas are a part of this home series as well. So when you experience a loss like this against Florida, right now you have not too much time to prepare. It's less than a week, and then you're back at it again. What? How do you do that versus when you have a lot more time, maybe a couple, 3 or 4 weeks in between?
Just basically what I said before. I mean, I think we really lost touch of the basics of how this game works. And I think that, along with just improving our teamwork and our small talk and our finesse, is those three components of actually like improving ourselves as a whole, as a team as a whole. We really strayed away from that over these last couple home series. We've kind of like just been out trying to out talent people, which is just not going to work against these teams. There's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of teams that just play fundamentally correct. So yeah, like there's takeaways from that loss versus Florida, but more so just us improving on our teamwork and um, playing our lives and our finesse. Yeah,
Where do you put Florida now? I mean, for much of the season, the conversation has been Atlanta 1, Dallas 2, Chicago 3. Maybe some people would have ordered that differently, but
yeah,
now Florida has 2 championship wins. They had a very impressive performance. They beat Chicago, Dallas, and Atlanta en route
yeah.
to winning this championship, right? Or this tournament weekend win. So, where do we put them in the conversation, according to you?
I would put them. I mean, for me, I think it's everybody's had the conversation of us, Chicago, and Dallas. I think New York is very overlooked.
Mm.
I think their respawn is probably the best in terms of them in Dallas. Their hard point is really good. They play the game right, and they get the kills. I would say Florida is like a good. I mean, I would say Chicago and Florida are probably hand in hand, and Florida's right in the mix there with them. Or not Florida, New York. I mean.
So, this
So I
weekend,
would
of
I would
course,
say
yeah.
I would say us, Chicago, or us, Dallas, Florida, New York are just all really hand in hand.
Wow.
I mean,
That,
yeah,
that's high praise for New York. I mean, I know Mac Meltz has added so
yeah, we
much to
scrim
the
them.
team, right?
We scrim them a lot, and their
Okay.
respawn is just actually super good. I think they're very overlooked. I mean, I think that series versus, I believe they play OGLA today, is going to be. Is it? Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, they play
OGLA.
OGLA
Yeah,
at 4, yeah.
I think that's going to be a good match.
So the pair and in fact, as we talk, the home series is set to go underway. Atlanta will be playing at 5:30 p.m. Eastern against the Toronto Ultra. That's their opening game for the Paris Legion home series. So let's talk about Father's Day. It's this
Yeah,
weekend. I'm excited because I'm a new dad, so I get to spend Father's Day as a dad for the first
awesome,
time.
man.
But you have a special connection with your dad, and
Yeah.
he's a colonel in the army. Why don't you just tell us about your relationship with your father?
Yeah, my relationship with my dad is amazing. He's not here right now. He's stationed in Louisiana, but a lot of people aren't aware. But my gamer tag, actually, Major Maniac, it comes from way back when I first got a PS3. I was going to like make my account, right. I already had my own email and stuff at the time, but during that time, my dad was a major in the army, and my last name is Szymaniak, which is Polish. And going through school, sports, and all that, nobody could just pronounce Szymaniak. It's hard to it's a weird SZY maniac. Everybody thinks it's Zai's maniac or maniac, Pontiac, whatever. But um, nobody could pronounce it, and people would just call me maniac sometimes. So I kind of just put two and two together, major maniac, and I've just been rolling with it since. So,
So did
but
you was your growing up? Your dad was always in the army. Like, did you guys have
yeah,
to move a lot as a result?
yeah, we moved all the time, like three, 3. I moved from New York to North Carolina to Maryland, back to North Carolina, and now I'm in Kansas. Um, but yeah, my dad's been in the military all my life. He's really the hardest working man I know. Uh, and the three things he's really just instilled in me as I was growing up is be a leader. My dad is he knows how to work a room. That's one thing I've seen my dad do and have taken away from him. He can just work a room. He's I don't know, he's the man. He's the man in that aspect. That and just being true to yourself and just he's just very hardworking, like I said. So
Mhm. What was his reaction when you told him you wanted to be a professional gamer?
there was never really a conversation where I said I want to be a professional gamer. It kind of just happened. Not many people realize, but um, straight out of high school, I was gonna go into the military. And that was during advanced warfare, where I never really had in my mind like, yeah, I'm gonna go to these tournaments. I'm gonna compete, all that, because I was still playing sports. Like baseball was my that was my thing. Like
Mm.
it filled that like competitive void for me. But going into World War II. is where I first started competing. I played a few events, and Anaheim, which is the biggest event of the year, everybody's super excited for Anaheim. I didn't have a team. So I was on actually on the verge of quitting. Like I was looking at ASFAB tests and I wasn't really studying hard, but I was just practicing, just reading up on a lot of things because I was gonna go into the military straight out of high school, but I was definitely reconsidering it because I wanted to do something with either military intelligence, cybersecurity, or something like that. Um, Obviously, it didn't happen because I ended up getting a team with my good friend Chance,
Hmm.
Proto, and Spoof, who are all great players. And then going into champs, we picked up Spacely. So my year turned around very quickly. And then after placing eighth at champs, um, in that game, Crowder, who actually beat us in losers bracket, that FaZe team, then he came up to me. He said he exchanged a few words, was just telling me to keep going. You're a great player. And I always knew Crowder was a good dude. He would come into my streams back in the day in Black Ops 3 and stuff. Um, so yeah, like that conversation and that placement there really just gave me the drive going into Black Ops 4. I was like, man, I could really do this. And back to what I was saying before, like playing baseball, that competitive atmosphere I loved. So competing and going to these LAN events and having the crowd there, having people support you was just like feeling that competitive drive for me as a person too. So yeah, I mean everything turned around super quickly for me, and I'm grateful and yeah, blessed, man, to be in this position right now. So
Is your dad a Call of Duty fan as well? Was this something you guys bonded over?
he my dad's terrible at video games, but but my dad is smart in the aspect of he understands what's going on. Like I haven't really completely taught him the game because he doesn't know mechanically how to play. He could barely work a controller really, but in the aspect of like how the game modes work, like hardpoint and domination, and back in Black Ops 4 control, search and destroy, he has a good understanding of. Um, so yeah, he watches every game. I call him after these series, and he's texting me and stuff. So yeah, like he fully supports it now, and I'm super grateful for that. So
Yeah, how
he's
important is that
he's
for
the real
you?
life soldier, and I'm over here.
Yeah, you're the virtual soldier.
Yeah, the virtual one. Yep.
Well, how important is that for you that like you guys talk after every game? Like I'm guessing now he's I can only imagine what his knowledge is like of the game and even the league now compared to
Yeah, he
when you
reads up on a
started.
lot of like the league and all that. Yeah, when I first started, my even him and my mom, they didn't really have a good understanding of like how the scene worked and how game modes and all of this worked. Um, but they didn't really start understanding, and they didn't start fully supporting it until they actually saw like the money that could potentially be made. I mean, this is a career for many people, and it sets people up for a lifetime if they play their cards right. So I think that's super important to have that parental support.
So like let's end on this. Like just take me through like Atlanta weekend, for example, when you guys won that championship or even the second championship that you won. What were the conversations like with your dad after those tournament wins?
Oh yeah, he was super, super, super proud. I think he was. I think he actually sent me a video or two, and pretty sure he's tearing up if I remember correctly. He's just a very proud dad, and it actually fills my heart with joy that he supports me in the way he does. He's really my biggest fan, and I mean, yeah, and I'm the second. He has the same name as me, which I don't know if many people know. So yeah, I mean, it was amazing. He couldn't actually be there for that weekend. He had important meetings that were set months in advance that he wanted to attend so bad. I had him a ticket that Atlanta had actually got for him. My mom and my siblings were there, but he just obviously couldn't make it out, which is completely understandable. I know the position he's in, so there's no hard feelings there. I mean, he's my dad at the end of the day, so yeah, he was just very proud.
That's his nickname still, Major Maniac, Major Maniac, despite being a colonel now. It's not Colonel Maniac.
He's not his. No. I'm he. No, his. Everybody refers to him as Colonel Maniac, but
Okay, sorry, yeah.
I'm the second in the aspect of Michael. My first
Oh,
and last
the
name. Yeah,
full
he has
name.
this.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, he has the same full name as me.
got
So
it, got it.
yeah,
So he's Colonel Maniac and you're Major Maniac.
yeah, yeah.
That's terrific. So let's end on this. Like when that's something that you want to experience, or has there what would be the biggest moment that you two have shared in person then, even before the pandemic, winning, he wasn't there for the Atlanta series and couldn't obviously online, but what was the biggest moment you two shared in your Call of Duty career in person?
Um, in person.
Or is
Hmm.
it yet to happen?
It's yet to happen. It actually has yet to happen. I mean, these events, he hasn't traveled to an event yet. Like I said, he really wanted to come to Atlanta, and then before COVID and everything happened, I was gonna have him make it out to champs, but s- still up in the air on what's going to happen with that. But yeah, I mean, I would love to have him out to the next event, whether it be this season, next season. So yeah, it's gonna happen eventually. So
Well, it's cool to have the support of both your parents, obviously, in the
yeah,
sidelines, especially with the cool connection there between Major Maniac, Colonel Maniac, your dad, and everything that how
yeah,
you honor him with your nickname. So,
yeah.
Major Maniac joining us here at the Atlanta FaZe. I know you got to get prepared with your team for your matchup later today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, against the Toronto Ultra. Your campaign begins in the Paris Legion home series. Major Maniac, thanks for joining us here in ESPN Esports,
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
and thank you everybody for watching. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy the home series.
Yes.